Hi, welcome to Sumery P. Today I've got my spelt raisin bread recipe to share with you. I'm using a combination of white spelt flour and whole grain spelt flour, but feel free to do your own combination. So if you'd like to see how I make my easy spelt raisin bread, come with me and let's see. So step one, we need to prep the dough. So I'm using my stand mixer with the dough hook, but you can also do it by hand and mix it all with your hands. Anyway, I'm going to make it easy for myself. So in this bowl, we add our flour. So I've got 250 grams of white spelt. And with bread making, it's essential to weigh it. Cup measurements are just a little bit too random and you can get different results. And I'm using 250 grams of whole grain spelt flour. And into that, I'm adding some spice. So I've got 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and 2 teaspoons of mixed spice. Now you can swap it and change to add whatever spices you like. And to that I've got a packet of instant yeast. So this doesn't have to be prepared, we just throw that in as well. So that's a 7-gram packet. And we do a little bit of salt. I've just got 1 teaspoon, I think that's right. Yeah, 1 teaspoon of salt. But just make sure you put the salt on the opposite side to your yeast because it can counteract the fermenting. And a little bit of sweetener. So I'm just adding 1 tablespoon of white sugar. And I'm going to do a tablespoon of dark brown sugar. Or you can use honey or you can leave it out. I've made this a few times without the sugar and it doesn't quite taste as good. Anyway, so that's all that goes in there. And I'm just going to mix that together a little bit. Just as a little bit of a preparation. And in this jug here, I've got some warm water. So what I do is I use some kettle water, about 100 mils, and then add the rest, just lukewarm tap water, not lukewarm, just regular tap water or filter water. So that's 250 mils. So we're just going to throw all of that in. But you can also do it with milk, but it works fine with water. So I'm just going to mix all that through. So we do it on low to combine everything, and then I'll pop it up to a medium speed. And you really need to knead this for about 10 minutes. And then you'll know it's done when it starts looking kind of silky and stretched and the dough comes away from the bowl. So we'll just let that do its thing. I'll clean up a little bit. I'm just going to put my timer on for 10 minutes so I know that it's done. I'm just going to check this. Sometimes depending on how much whole grain flour you use or the temperature of the room or the climate, bread can change and the hydration is important. So I'm just checking that this is sticky enough because we could add a little bit more water, but I think it's going to be okay. So we'll just keep mixing that. I'm just going to add a little bit more speed to that mixer. But you can see now that it's cleaning the bowl. So I'll just stop that and show you. It's looking really great and it's getting stretched. The gluten's getting stretched, but we'll just knead it for a bit longer. Just going to stop that and show you. See, look at that. Even though we've used spelt flour, it's really stretchy. So I'm just going to remove that from the dough hook and show you that looks really stretchy and lovely. So what we'll do now is we're going to leave it in this bowl. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit of flour just to the bottom and the sides. Pop it in this bowl. This bowl's great because it's got a lid. So just pop the lid on. So we've got our dough all ready and it's in here with a lid on. If you don't have a container with a lid, you can just pop plastic wrap on it or a damp cloth. And we're going to let that rest away from any drafts. My kitchen's quite warm, there's no windows open. So that should take about an hour and then we'll come back and start adding some fruit into it. So let's just let that sit and I'm going to go away and have a cup of tea. So we're back with our dough and I've just pressed it and it's creating a dent but it's springy. So I think we're good to go with the next step. So we need to remove that. Just got a little dough spatula. I'm going to generously dust my bench with some spelt flour. And then I'm going to pop that dough onto this bench, and then we're going to add our fruit. So that just took an hour. So I like to kind of stretch it out onto the bench. Just make sure you've got lots of flour down there. And now I'm going to add the fruit. So I've got 140 grams of a combination of raisins plus sultanas. I ran out of raisins, but I still wanted to do the video, so you can do whatever combination you like. So you want to try and get those sultanas and raisins into your dough. I'm just going to knead that a little bit with our hands. I'm just going to do some folds to try and knead that in. I'm just enveloping it, just knocking some air out. So you knock the air out to then let it rise again. So I'm just going to fold it back onto itself to create a log. And I've got my prepared little loaf tin here, which I've just greased and lined it with some paper and left it long on the side so I can lift it out. So that looks like that at the moment, and we've got this kind of like, I don't know, fold at the back. But what we'll do now, it just kind of forms into itself. So we just pop that into our tin. So it looks like that, and we let it sit here for another half an hour. Now we need to prep the oven to 200 degrees C. It's fan forced, but if you've got, if you don't have a fan, pop it on 220. So we'll get that heated up. And we're going to add a little bit of flour to the top of that. And what I like to do is I like to add a damp cloth, or you can put plastic wrap on it, but I'm going to get a damp tea towel. So I've just wet my tea towel with a bit of water. I'm just popping that over the top. And then we need to let that sit for another 30 to 40 minutes before we bake it. Set my timer, and in that time my oven will be lovely and hot. So it's been just a little over 40 minutes, and look at our dough baby. It's risen. So the next step is I need to prep this now for baking. So I like to brush it with a little bit of an egg wash. Not completely necessary, but it's a little bit of an egg wash glaze. Just brush that over, not too much. Just on the top. And for a little bit of extra fanciness, I do a little bit of cinnamon. And a little bit of just white ordinary sugar, about half a teaspoon, just to give it a bit of a glaze. And then to give that bread look and to let it give the bread a little bit of air to breathe, we just use a sharp knife and cut right through the centre. And another tip, to make the bread really moist but have a crispy outside edge, I like to put a little bit of water in the base of my oven. So I use my big baking tray and I pop about a cup of water just to that. And that creates a steam bath. But you've got to be careful when you open up your oven door that you don't get burnt by your steam. So we're going to pop that in the bottom. And the oven's nice and hot now. So we're going to bake this now for 25 to 30 minutes on the middle tray. So I've set my time for 25 minutes and I'll check it at 25. So our bread's cooked and I've had it resting for about an hour to let it cool down. We've got a little bit of extra brownness on the top from my cinnamon and sugar. So that's optional. If you don't want to pop that on, you can leave it off. So let's cut into it. I'm excited to show you what it looks like on the inside. So check that out. Doesn't that look like a delicious raisin bread? I'm really bad at cutting straight, but it's really soft and light and fluffy. Whoops. Let's try one of the raisins. I'm going to come closer, and I've got my glasses on. I usually don't film with my glasses, so let's take them off. So take two. Let's have a look. So check that out. It's light and fluffy, and I can't wait to have this for breakfast tomorrow. So if you've liked my video today, let me know. Let me know what you think of my glasses. And consider subscribing if you're new here today. All you need to do is have a Google account and hit the bell, and then you get notified when I have a new video. And hit the thumbs up if you've liked it, and let me know in the comments below if you've given this a go and what you think of it. And I'll pop a few other recipes up above that you might want to click on and check out. And I'll see you next time. Bye.